Right, lads, we're going to start off with this before we get into the show. Which is the biggest club in the playoffs?
Sunderland. Quite comfortably, we have 6 top division titles, 2 FA Cups, 49,000 seater stadium, produced England captains. I could go on, but I don't think I need to.
Cool story, bro. When was the last time you played in the Premier League?
Look, that you can talk about that all you want, but when we were last there, we were there for 10 unbroken years. How long were you there the last time you got in the Premier League?
It's about being there, innit?
Did you guys just say 10 unbroken seasons in the Premier League? How about 34 in a row? All the way to 2000. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
It's a good job for you, it's not the size of the dog in the fight.
Anything for...
I can't get involved with Bristol.
Right, enough of that anyway. Let's get on with the show.
Hello guys, welcome to the Sportsman Untitled and our playoff special. Very exciting show coming up for you today, but I'm not actually presenting it. I am the Coventry City guest, which I'm really thrilled about, and we've got in champion of the championship, Conor McGilligan, to do the hosting. So over to you, mate.
Thank you, Si. Yes, I am extremely hungover today. It was the promotion parade yesterday, the champions parade, lads. So I've come in to host. And it's a playoff special, and as a Leeds fan, just kick back, can't we, Oli? We can just kick back. So let's start off with, we'll start off with this. Make sure you are liking, commenting and subscribing, of course. There is loads more content to come over here. But we will start with a season review. I've got a spring in my step. I was hungover, but suddenly there's a bit of a vibe about me, a bit of thrill. Oli, we'll come to you, mate. Season review. Finishing 10 points behind Leeds.
Yeah, well, you know.
Third, it was made some outlandish claims over the season. So we'll start off with you, mate. Sheffield United in third. I mean, season review, mate. How do you start that off?
Yeah, well, it's been a good season, you know. You've got to look at it, I try and put myself in the shoes of where I was in pre-season. I think the season probably goes in stages to an extent in terms of the way that it's gone. I think at the start of the season, I really didn't expect us to be anywhere near automatic promotion. We came into this one, with... The context of it all is how badly we'd been battered in the Premier League last year. Like, it was embarrassing. We conceded record goals. We'd been battered 8-0, 6-0, 5-0. It was just felt like a season where we were going to have so much recovery to do. It was hard to really see what our level was going to be on coming down. So to then have gone the way that we did up until mid-February, it was, obviously we were in such great form. We were top of the league. We were flying. Yeah, it fell off a cliff a little bit towards the end. We, imploded to an extent. Just when I started to believe, when we all started to think that we were going to really be able to be the team that kicked on, that won the league, that we're going to be the team that got that automatic promotion. We got the difficult games out of the way. We'd done Coventry at Bramall Lane, and it just felt, yes, this is our moment. And then it all fell apart. And yeah, it's taken the shine off what should have been a special season, really. I think in terms of points won, we've equalled our best ever season at championship level. We've won as many games as Burnley have won. It's been fantastic in so many ways, but to be sat here today is... I should be in that seat. That's what I'm saying, and I'm thinking, if only I...
It's like a golden throne, isn't it?
A golden hungover throne. Pete, we'll move to you. Bristol City. Fantastic season, mate. Absolutely fantastic season. You find yourselves in the playoffs. Manning has done an unbelievable job.
He has.
What feelings, mate, towards it?
I shouldn't be here for a lot of reasons. The first one, we were 12th on Boxing Day. That was the norm for us, and it's just since the turn of the year. We played Luton Boxing Day, 1-1-0. From there, something just changed, and we've done it pretty much with one striker in Naki Wells. Miulu, not fancied after the first few months. Sinclair Armstrong, not a goal scorer. So still with ultimately a squad of players that is pretty similar to what we had last year. I think like all of us around the table, we've did our best to make a meal out of it towards the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, it's just we found a way. We've won a load of home games 2-1 the last 2-3 months of the year. I feel like I'm probably the most relaxed out of all of us because we're not expecting to be here. There's no real pressure on us. Heard someone on 5 Live yesterday saying it's much better to be 6th in the playoffs than 3rd. Because no one's expecting anything. I feel pretty relaxed about Thursday and next Monday, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good position to be in, I think. Good position to be in. Jonny? Sunderland, I don't know where to start. I backed you guys to the hill at the start of the season and throughout. Very impressive when Leeds played. Yeah, both times very impressive. Probably the best side I've seen come to Ellen Road. And since sort of that point onwards and towards the back end of the season, it is just, I mean, no one could have predicted what's happened with Sunderland. You put the post out, didn't you? We've achieved the playoffs, and from that point onwards, it's just you've stumbled, haven't you, massively?
Stumbled is generous, I think, to be brutally honest. I mean, Oli used the words "fell off a cliff" for Sheffield United. I think 5 losses on the spin going into the playoffs for Sunderland. That is the absolute epitome of falling off a cliff. So. And I can see the spectre of Simon just looming over your shoulder. The Coventry representative. I mean,
the blue Hume.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what we as Sunderland fans did not want to be seeing going into this playoff campaign.
Me personally, or the club, or is it just
both?
A bit of both. No. But I mean, we'll get on to it, I'm sure. But our record against Coventry is horrendous. So we didn't have it in our control going into that final day. What was going to be happening for 5th and 6th below us, and Millwall and Coventry and Middlesbrough and Bristol City, but we were all at the QPR game at the stadium, like all feverishly like refreshing our phones, checking BBC Sport, like just trying to avoid Coventry. And obviously the way it's all ended up, transpiring, that's not been the case. But I think it's been a season of 2 halves for Sunderland. The first half of the season we were right in touch with the automatics. The automatic promotion places. I think we were top of the league until sort of the end of September or just into October, and then from sort of New Year onwards, we've not looked anywhere near.
Was it 5 points clear as well? Was it 5 or 6 points?
4,
clear?
I think.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a good few points that we were clear, but yeah, I think since about New Year onwards, I just think we've struggled because we've ended up with nothing really to play for. You guys at the top of the league have just flown away and been almost impossible to try and compete with, unless you're Burnley with James Trafford between the sticks.
Yeah.
But I think it's for us. It's all about trying to recapture that early season form and get back to the fundamentals that made us such a difficult team to play against, which I think it's fair to say we've lost over recent weeks.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for you boys, does it? Coventry. Obviously, Gab's bottled it today. So
I know.
So shout out to Gab. But resurgence, Lampard.
Yeah.
Just talk to us. Robin's leaving. What a season it's been for Coventry as well.
What a season, but like the most emotional, horrendous first half of the season you could ever possibly imagine. Obviously, there's loads of tweets coming back that everyone was throwing out there in the first half of the season that now are made to look very, very silly. You have to say, Doug King took a massive decision back in early November, to sack Mark Robins. Everyone was fuming, everyone was really upset. But once Lampard had come in a few weeks later, the club were kind of getting behind him, the fans were always behind him, the criticism seemed to come from outside the club on Lampard himself. By the time we got into the new year, we've been unbelievable. We've lost 2 home games under Frank Lampard, against Burnley and Leeds. It's taken us to the playoffs, and delighted to be playing Sunderland without wanting to be arrogant. I'm delighted that Bristol City slipped up on the final day. Delighted that Bristol City slipped up and we took that 5th position because, as we say, we've got a great record against Sunderland. The game against Middlesbrough on the final day was like a quarter-final for the playoffs because we had to win it. We did it. We're barrelling into Friday, and I think we can do it.
No see this happy. Pete, entering the playoffs, you mentioned just a little bit earlier that the pressure was off.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop the nerves building though.
No, of course not.
Does it?
No, it doesn't. It's still, nervous excitement, but I think because we're not expected, we're not you guys, we're not, haven't got the ways, we haven't got the money. We came out in January and basically said we're not expecting anything for the rest of the season, so we're not going to sign anyone. That was, in a weird way, one of the best things that happened to us because it made the squad smaller, made it tighter, made it a bit more together maybe. Obviously excited, pretty nervous, but we're not expected to do anything. So I think I feel a lot more confident that we're home first. Weirdly.
Can I ask you about the final day pitch invasion and what you thought about that? Was you just
that's the picture of a club that's the first time in 17 years we've had something to play for on the final day. Yeah, that's what that comes out as.
Hey, we had a pitch invasion. we had a pitch invasion when we drew 0-0 at home to Morecambe in League Two. Yeah. So I'm not. You've got to enjoy it.
But it was weird because we knew a win. We knew a win would be 5th. We knew a point in the 2 games beforehand we'd be in the playoffs, but lost the last 2, obviously against Leeds and Luton. But it was odd. So full time whistle goes, and everyone just stands up silent. because everyone's sort of waiting for what's the Blackburn score. All the coaching staff and players on the pitch. There's one roar that goes up that indicates it's full time. Everyone's just gone, well, that's probably it then. We'll just hope that's not someone lying. And then it was always going to happen. We're going to be on the pitch because it was final day.
Yeah, you're welcome for that. Don't worry, guys. We'll give you a great day. Don't worry about it. Don't need to do it yourselves.
Well, we'll come to you actually, Oli. Is this kind of, obviously you've been in the playoffs, but the fixture you've got, it's an interesting one, isn't it? What was the last? It was 1-1, wasn't it, last time out? And Bristol are a bit of a problem. Was there a team that you were desperate to avoid?
I didn't really want to play Bristol City, if I'm being honest. It's one of those where it's really difficult to try and judge, sort of looking at the playoffs, looking at how this is going to go and how we're going to take it forward. We ourselves have got a horrendous record in the playoffs. I was joking before we started, we've been relegated through the playoffs more times than we've been promoted through them, which is, I mean, when did the last time someone get relegated in the playoffs? So that's just the way that it goes. But yeah, I didn't really want to play Bristol City because the way that I look at these teams and the way that I've looked at all the teams who were chasing the playoffs, I think Bristol City are the one where I know what we're going to get. I know exactly the performance level. There's a consistency, there's a sort of guarantee where you go to Ashton Gate, it's going to be difficult. We are not going to have anything easy. Whereas say we were playing Coventry, they might have a level that is top of the league, as good as we're going to play against, but they might also have a level like we saw at Bramall Lane earlier this season where actually we'll just walk over them. And so there's that variation that almost sort of plays into your hands a little bit, because if you control what you can do, you know really that in one of those two games you've got a fantastic chance of beating them down. Whereas against Bristol City, they give us problems every single time we play them. I can remember us having a really good record. We usually win, but I've seen us get played off the box so many times to win 1-0. If I'm being honest, and if we'd put a tactical mind on, we might have conceded just late on against Blackburn. Who knows? Maybe that should have been the way that we took it forward. But yeah, it's going to be a really difficult game. Ultimately, what you've got to look at though is we're 24 points, I think, over the season, better than Bristol City. We are still 92 points, I think, is the most points anyone's ever got without being automatically promoted. We are and should be by far the best team that are taking part in these playoffs. We should have, the 46 game season before shows us that we're the best team. We should win this. Does that mean we will? Of course it doesn't. It's not how football works. And actually, Bristol City are the one team that have got a story to write here. Yeah. There is a generation of fans that you just referred to there that have never seen them play for something on the final day, that have never seen them have these big moments and a chance to play in the Premier League. There's the pitch invasion, all the emotion. There's the emotion around Liam Manning, everything he's gone through, everything he's then done to perform at such an unbelievable level. It might be that they're writing a really special story and we're going to be a footnote to it. Unfortunately, we have to hope that's not the case, because we should be the best team and therefore we should be able to win, please. do you
want to swap, mate? we'll take them off your hands if you can have Coventry, yeah?
Is it a similar feeling then, Pete? Obviously, you played them recently, haven't you? You played really well in that game.
That draw away at Bramall Lane that's probably the game where City fans thought, we're actually pretty decent. Like, we could actually find a way here. And the home game, I thought the better team as well until Rob Dickie got sent off. Played really well. You kind of forget we lost the home game because we were so much better than you. It was two late goals, and it was the draw in the end at Bramall Lane is the one that, that's why me and most City fans are happier that we're home first. So if we can go to Bramall Lane and know that we need just to score or just to not concede potentially, then might be doable. Might.
Yeah, and we would also like to plug post the games. You're going to be doing something, aren't you?
Yes, we'll be doing Gab Sutton will be here.
Yeah, thank God. To show up.
He'll be here with Benjamin Bloom and myself doing live reaction after the Bristol City Sheffield United game. Then it'll be Ben and Gab doing something after the Coventry Sunderland game. I might also be on it, but I am going to that game. But yeah, stay tuned to the Sportsman for an instant live reaction to the playoff semi-finals as well.
There you go, got the big hit of Benjamin Bloom on as well. Sheffield United have never gone up through the playoffs, Oli.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
No. Yeah, it's one of those things that almost becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. Like, it sounds bizarre, but I remember the day we lost at Millwall at Bramall Lane. It meant that we were behind both Burnley and Leeds on points. It meant it was no longer in our hands. It meant that we also had to go to Turf Moor. So we knew that we had to be perfect, including going to Turf Moor. And on that day, I remember sticking a message in our group chat saying, so what do we do for the Championship next season? Like, what's the plan? Like, what do we need to change to make sure we can go again? No. Last season, the parachute money, what do we do? And it's because it's just ingrained in me almost over time that we just aren't going to win the playoffs. It's not what Sheffield United do. But there is something in that, and I think there's something in the fans' role, there's something in all of our sort of as a club's role, in that normally we do this, where we've had to earn our way in on the last day, and so there's an adrenaline dump that, you know, you've just come sixth, you then dumped it down, how do you respond to that? Or, we've been going for second and we've missed out by 2 points on the last game of the season, and there's the, oh God, playoffs again. Whereas this time we've had 2 or 3 weeks, settle ourselves down, get emotionally ready, get mentally ready to take ourselves forward. We've been able to give players rests that have needed it. Vinny Sousa's been able to take a little bit of a break. Gus Harmer, a little bit of a break. We've got players now who are fully fit, ready to go in, ready to attack the playoffs. So that record almost needs put into one side. And if any man was ever going to do it, any Sheffield United manager was ever going to be the one, almost just for his own ego as much as anything else, if anyone's going to do it, Chris Wilder's going to do it. Because this is the thing now. He's up there, one of our greatest ever managers. But you do this. You're the one who does this, and you're number one. You go above Dave Bassett, you go above Neil Warnock. You are top of the pile because you're the one who finally got us through the playoffs. The one who finally got in.
There'll be a 30-minute interview with him afterwards.
Yeah,
picking himself up. Somehow getting Sheffield Wednesday.
I was about to say something like Sheffield Wednesday.
All his pals back in the pub will be toasting it with a Wednesday mate.
I think you make a good point actually about the third and fourth place thing. Because I don't know, Benjamin Bloom's done the research on this as well to give him another shout out. But I think since Aston Villa won it with Jack Grealish when they finished fifth, the winners always finished third and fourth. I think it's the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, Johnny, do you want to respond? You have to say there's been a clear difference between us two and you two over the course of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to jump in, I mean, you look at the points gap between fourth and fifth, and it is, you know, that is a substantial amount of points. That does show that over the course of the whole season, there is a clear gap in quality or consistency or both between these clubs. But I think, the bigger issue for me is going into the playoffs. It's the momentum, and like you say, Oli, I mean, you know, the disappointment for you of just dropping out and missing out on automatics. For us, it's, you know, going in on 5 defeats. That's got to play on your mind, I think, as a squad, and particularly selfishly from us as quite a young squad. You've got to imagine that's going to make a difference. So, you know, I think if you at the start of the season you say, would you rather finish 4th or 6th? You'd probably rather finish 4th. Yeah. But the way that it goes then getting into the end of the season, it just puts a whole new spin on things, doesn't it? And a new context around the semi-finals, which, you know, it makes for tasty games, you know, because you really do feel like any one of us could potentially go through and win it. But yeah, I mean, it's great to have that points gap on paper and in theory, but I just think when you get there,
doesn't mean anything now, does it? That's the thing.
When you get out under the floodlights in a playoff semi-final, you know, the nerves kick in and anything can happen.
Yeah. Last time we played a game under nerves, I think it were at the Kassam Stadium against Oxford, and it went really well. So.
Oh, did it? So, any injury news or anything like that?
We crawled over the line results-wise. I think we're crawling with it with squad. So we've got, I think, the last 4 games we haven't filled the bench. So that says something.
Licking his lips over there.
We've lost Mark Sykes and Campering at the worst possible time. I think Joe Williams, pretty much they've confirmed him and Scott Twine will need surgery in the summer. They both started on Saturday. So the defence is the main issue. And I mean, if anything, if Nahki Wells gets anything in the next 2 games, that's us done and dusted. But we haven't filled the bench, which, touch wood, throughout the season, our injuries have been so much better than they have been in the last few years. It's just these last 6-7 weeks have taken us out of us a little bit. But Campering, it sounds like if we get there, they'll risk him in the second leg or the final. But it sounds like Sykes is out of it.
Is there a general confidence with Bristol City fans, Pete?
I think there will be if one of those two were in it. I think there'd be much more. But I think at the minute it is just we just can't believe we're there, which in some ways is a bit of confidence because it's. Sometimes you play teams that are much more relaxed, that don't have the pressure. And I think, I keep saying it, it's us being at home first. Sometimes you want to be home second, don't you, to get to win the tie. But I think it's almost worked out better for us that we're Ashton Gate in the first leg.
How good's Liam Manning been for Bristol City?
Yeah, I mean,
outrageous, hasn't it?
Unbelievable. Pete can tell better than me, but obviously he's... Especially what Oli said, what he's been through personally as well. But to be the man to take them from mid-table, we all joked about it before. Bristol say he'll be 12th this year. they're sick. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they're in
yeah.
this conversation that we're having. It's been exceptional. I think the home crowd's been really good as well this season. And I think he's been the man, hasn't he?
Him and Wilder, you couldn't get two polar opposites, could you? I mean, one who makes it all about him, one who makes it anything about him.
I can't believe Liam Manning does that.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have though between you? Who would you rather have, Wilder going into this or Manning?
Oh,
I mean, I'll say Manning just because I prefer him, obviously, but.
You see,
Can I put
pause that.
Can I put
Pause.
Can I put a bit of context to this? Because I think we said, even from a Leeds United perspective, that going into this final furlong, you look at Chris Wilder previously and you go, he's the one who had actually won ahead of Parker. It's Wilder. There's something about him in these lists, like getting the players G'd up for it. It feels like it's not about the tactical side of it. It then changes into just. It's emotive, isn't it?
Is that too much to add into the mix of the playoffs?
And it feels, maybe it's because it's just a different squad this time. Obviously, it's not O'Connell, it's not Basham, Egan. It's a younger squad.
Yeah.
It feels like it's almost gone into catastrophe theory, doesn't it? It's the adrenaline's too high, and it's just tailed off a little bit.
It does, and it's an interesting one because that's why I paused so much on the question, because ultimately I've said this all season and I'll stand by it. At some point Sheffield United are going to have to move on from Chris Wilder, but now is not that time. He's the perfect manager for managing Sheffield United right now. Nobody has a better connection. Nobody is able to G up our crowd, our fans, to create that connection between the squad and the fans the way that he does. He does it better than anybody else.
Just go to Heckingbottom again. You can just.
You just keep passing from one to the other.
Danny Roll might be available in a few weeks.
Just for the banter. But yeah, so I think, for managing Sheffield United, Chris Wilder is the ideal man for the job. He is the person who has connected with us more than anybody else and who really gets us on side. However, there was a moment that we've seen already this season. It was Plymouth away. And before we went to Plymouth, there was a bizarre press conference and a bizarre rant about pressure. And, well, we've not got the pressure. There's more pressure to stay in the division than get out of it. We then lost the game. And at full time, he's then potentially instigating a scrap with their players. And you just think...
I predict a riot.
Oh, there he is.
Right, I'm going on. But yeah, it's just very much... It feels like there is a tension there regarding the pressure, regarding being able to take that forward. So... I would take Wilder. What we've done this season stands for itself. What he's done with United in the past stands for itself. But there is a doubt niggling at the back of my mind about the pressure and what it's done to our squad already once this season, and how that sets us up to make sure that we can go at it this time in a bit more of a relaxed space. We can handle it a little bit differently. And Wilder himself, whether or not he's going to adapt and handle it differently. And like I said before, if anything's going to drive him, it's being the man who fixes this. The man who takes us.
It's a good team as well, Ol, isn't it? It's a very, very good championship side.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to come to this later on, aren't we? We'll talk about sort of the squad, the quality of the players. But I mean, you're looking at this United team and there's match winners running all the way through this team, and there is a question about, whether or not we've let them all do their best thing. Is Gus Harmer at his best on the left wing? Is Jez Raksaki at his best on the right wing, where he's always got to come on his left foot? There's questions about whether we're getting the most, but you look at that squad of players and from back to front, maybe excusing the two centre-halves, I think there's not many better. There's certainly, I don't think, many better sat around this table. No. And so you've got to be able to get the most out of them, and you've got to rely on them in the big moments.
I say we can't fill our bench, and then look at their bench.
Tom Cannon, 10 million, and the rest of them.
But it can come down to that as well.
You can have him if you want.
We've got 3 or 4 max out of the 9 that we can pick from, and you've got. I mean, you could make 9 subs if you needed to, if it's possible, and they'd all make an impact.
Pete, how's it pan out?
1-0 went Ashton Gate, and then probably 1-0 at your place, and then we'll see what happens, I think.
It's not good for the nerves, that, is it, Ollie? No. What are you thinking?
Anything but that. I can't do pens again. I talked about our playoff record being bad. Anybody at home who's watching, go and research our penalty record for recent years. It's even worse. I think that we will draw 1-1 at Ashton Gate. I think we'll win it at Bramall Lane. I think United will get through this one. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a battle. But I think everything on the line, the squad of players that we've got, the way this season has gone, I think we will win this game of football. I think we'll win 2-1 at Bramall Lane and draw 1-1 at Ashton Gate.
I can't see a world where, Sheffield United don't win the semi-final.
I hate that.
I think you want.
I hate that.
Suits us.
You're on about your squad. I think the first leg's going to be really boring.
probably
it's
a
going to be
0-0.
rubbish.
It's going to be a terrible watch. We will watch it though, and we'll enjoy it.
Will
I
we?
won't. I can't see a world in which, if you haven't won the first leg, you can go to Bramall Lane and cope. Like, we've seen better teams than Bristol City go there and struggle.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it needs to be. We've got to make sure we get out of Ashton Gate not behind, really, if we're going for this game. I think it's going to be a rubbish game. I mean, if we're talking like what might be a decent...
Keep advertising it, lads. Keep advertising it. Please do tune in for the live stream, actually.
They're never good games, though, are they?
No, they're all... But the
so
tension...
nervy.
Once again, Benjamin Bloom is coming on.
The tension, though, around that game will make it an intriguing watch, because it'll feel every moment in it, because of the fact that both teams are going to be KJ, because both teams are going to try and lock it down and probably keep it to a low-score game. That's going to increase the tension around every attack, every moment. You're going to start to feel it feeding in from the crowd. So it's going to be, even if the football itself isn't of high quality, there's going to be so much intrigue and sort of tension that cuts through that event. And I think United's record when we go behind this season is atrocious. We've only beaten one team all season when we've been losing.
I was about to say that.
We beat Bristol City, having been 1-0 behind. Harrison Burroughs got that winner. So, we don't want to go behind, because we're not great when we're in that position and we're chasing a game. However, if there's one team to go behind against...
Conor, I know you're super uber professional neutiral host right
Unbiased.
now.
Yeah, completely.
How much would you enjoy Chris Wilder's tears after the semi-final if they lose to Bristol City?
There's Muppets from Leeds, thoroughly enjoying it.
I think we can make Oli leave before the end of this stream.
End of this sentence, mate.
Before we move on to Cov and Sunderland, how do you guys think it'll pan out between Bristol City and Sheffield United?
I think Sheffield United are going to win the second leg after a draw. I think they'll do 22 points between the two teams over the season. The quality on show, Hamer, O'Hare, all the former Cov players that have left us. I can't see them not making it count in the second leg. I think it'll be 2-0 on aggregate or something.
I'm sat here and I'm just like, don't say it. Don't forget we've got -2, so it's 24 points.
The accrued boys trophy!
Look, to be honest, I do think it's going to be a tough ask for Bristol City. I just think, Sheffield United, I think, are more kind of set up as a team and a club to handle this kind of pressure of these kind of games. And I think, I think you're right that I think you probably can get a draw in the home leg. I wouldn't be surprised if you're taking a kind of neutral position into that second leg. But I just think, I think the experience and the know-how of Sheffield United will win out. But, if the tension starts ratcheting up, Chris Wilder might not be the best man to have in the dugout. And let's all say a prayer for any match official who eats a sandwich within a square mile of the ground in that second leg.
We both want Bristol City to win, though, from our point of view, right? Whoever gets through to the...
Come on, Bristol City. Hey, I'll be having a Bristol City top on.
I'll have that shirt for the Thursday night.
Just on that, for your lads, just for your notice, Wembley, in my lifetime, I'm 30 years old, I've seen United play at Wembley or equivalent, Cardiff, 6 times. We've lost by an aggregate of 13-3, winning 0 games so far.
Come on, Sheffield United.
Our Wembley record is even worse than our playoff record.
Right, well, let's move on to the other game. First leg Friday night, Coventry versus Sunderland. I guess we start off with you, Si. I've just read a stat here. Producer Seb has got down for us. Coventry haven't lost to Sunderland since 2007.
Cheers, Seb.
10 unbeaten since then versus Sunderland. What on earth is that for? And a 3-0, very memorable win earlier on this season.
I don't know. I can't explain it, but we just beat them or don't lose to them every single time. It's beautiful. We've got it kind of against Middlesbrough as well. I don't know if it's the teams from kind of that area of the country that we just seem to be able to beat.
North East.
But kind of the 3-0 had you right game was interesting because it was probably the best performance that we've had under Lampard and maybe the worst performance under.
Certainly up there.
So we met each other and we just absolutely destroyed them at home. There was nothing about Sunderland to be worried about. Joe Bellingham, Chris Rigg, they didn't really turn up. We ran all over them. And we are just seemingly at home unbelievable. As mentioned, we only lost to Leeds and Burnley since Lampard came in. We've won pretty much all of the other games. There's nothing to be frightened of, I think, going into this game. I'm excited, I'm confident, and I'm glad we're playing Sunderland.
Completely scaring me.
How do you think I feel?
2 years ago, we got into the playoffs in different circumstances, and it felt like a real battle. We had Middlesbrough in the semi-final, ended up managed to beat them. It never felt like we were within touching distance. I think you look at how open this playoffs is. Yes, Sheffield United are the favourites. between the rest of us, I think anything goes, especially given they've lost 5 in a row.
Stop bringing it up.
Yes, it's a because there's not, when you kind of look at the teams on paper, it doesn't feel like there's that much of a difference. The neutral will probably say Sunderland's team, ability-wise, is probably above Coventry's, isn't it? So it's bizarre. Is this just a purely psychological thing now with Coventry then?
Oh, 100%. I think it is. It's when the run goes on for that long, so whatever it is, 18 years now, that has to play on people's minds.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and look, I think even when we were in League One, we scored 4 goals against them at home and still lost the game 5-4. So
it was the best episode of your documentary today, wasn't it?
All right, yeah, I want to know what we'd say for that.
I think the point to bring out is that earlier in the season, we'd sacked Mark Robins. We'd just lost home to Derby. We had 2 days to prepare for Sunderland. We were 2-0 down at Sunderland with Reece Carr in charge, who's never managed a game before. In the second half, we drew 2-2. We came back 2-0 down. You sat back and we battered you for 45 minutes with no proper manager at our lowest ebb, and you still couldn't beat us.
Well, that may be true, Simon, but that is a fake Coventry Toppy's way, by the way, for all the viewers. Just wanted to get that one out there.
Not so cocky now, is it?
Yeah, I need to say this off, actually.
but no, seriously, not to do too Lampardy in the transition there, but
seriously, go on,
yeah, but I think you're right, Conor, when you mentioned the fact that I think neutrals probably would look at it and say, on paper, we are probably a more talented side. Whatever that means, or however you rate players, we've got a lot of talent in there. So I don't think, look, psychological issues to one side and that abysmal record to one side. On the night, it's going to...
And the 5 games you've lost in a row to one side.
And the 5 games you've lost in a row, yeah. And the second half of the season generally.
On FIFA, you might beat us.
Yeah, look. Pipe down, yes.
So he's got a fake shirt again.
But I think, we've got the second leg at home. Yes, we're out of momentum and we're out of form, but I think, you mentioned 2 years ago when you got into the playoffs, and obviously we did the same. We scraped in on the final day. A little bit of a Bristol City almost, really. And that season, because we had to go on such a ridiculous run to even scrape into the playoffs, we couldn't rest players, we couldn't rotate, we couldn't prepare for the playoffs at all beyond desperately trying to get in. So then we ended up playing against, Luton ended up going up, fair play, but not the greatest footballing side in the world, with no fit centre halves and a right winger playing at left back, and ridiculous situation to be in. This time, yes, our form's awful, and there's not really any hiding that, but it's meant we've been able to rest, we've been able to rotate, and barring anything going wrong over the next couple of days, we should have an entirely fit complement of players going into that first leg, which I do think makes a difference. Obviously, the question then is, how easy is it to kind of switch it back on? Yeah, and to go again after essentially having a bit of a mini pre-season for the last 6 weeks or so. It's an interesting one, and I probably would just about rather be in Coventry's shoes, particularly with that record. But I don't think when it comes down to the actual football that we see over those 2 legs, I don't think that there's going to be loads between the teams. I'm not expecting it to be 3 or 4 goals in either side's favour. Famous last words. Clip that one up when we get done 4-0 in the first leg. But
talk to me then about sort of Stadium of Light impact, because we're talking about a ground here that when it is going, that it is going. And you talk there about being at home, wanting to try and build that first leg. Fantastic record at CBS. It's not a fantastic away record that Coventry have got under Lampard. He's not handled that side of the game as well. So with however many thousand there's going to be in sort of Stadium of Light, absolutely rocking. How big do you think that's going to be for your chances in terms of getting through this? Because it's an intimidating place to go.
Well, we're going to need the crowd to turn up and be on it, because we've also seen at times it can go the other way, and when there's a lot of people in that stadium, if things start to go, they really go quickly, and you can get some quite toxic atmospheres. But having said that, a few years ago in the League One playoffs, in that semi-final against Sheffield Wednesday, the crowd made a massive difference, and you're smiling because you were enjoying it then. But it did make a big difference. We had we had a bit of pyro going off before the game when the players are coming out, and some displays in the crowd, and just all those little things I think that do help to contribute and really get the crowd fired up. And then I think that did help carry us through that particular game. So it can make a big difference when everybody's there and pulling in the same direction, and really kind of fighting and singing from the same hymn sheet. But you know, like I say, if we've had a bit of a humbling in the first leg, then all of a sudden playing in front of 40-odd thousand who are, you know, you're 2-0 down from the start. If you give one away in the first 5 minutes, then, you know, it can really go the other way. So, but I mean, I'll be there, so I'm hoping that everyone else who turns up, you know, just positive and backs the lads from minute one.
I think if we don't win the first leg, we're in real trouble. I can't see a world where we're going to Stadium of Light and winning the game. We've got 1 point out of our last 5 games, and they've been against Plymouth, Derby, teams that aren't even in the league anymore. You know.
Yeah.
I don't really see a world where, but I think we can win on Friday night and do a pretty good job. We're also kind of got a fair bit of experience in the playoffs. Sunderland especially, compared to Bristol City, Sheffield United have got a rubbish record. But we're a bit playoff hardened, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean that is true. I mean, you know, I think, is it 5 out of the last 7 seasons? I think we've ended up in playoffs.
That's crazy.
In one division or another.
Too much anxiety there.
Can't do it.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's never dull being a Sunderland fan. It might be great, it might be awful, but it's never boring. But I think you're right, Simon, and I agree that I think that first leg is actually where this is really going to be won or lost in a strange way. I think if you do comfortably beat us and it's another 3-0 like it was, you know, a few weeks ago in the league, then I think we'll struggle to turn that round. But I think as long as we take nothing worse than a 1-goal deficit into that second leg at home, I think we've got a really good chance of doing it. But you know, we'll wait and see on Friday.
Do you think it's the big thing in this tie could be set pieces? Coventry flying, really. I think it's 6 more goals than anybody else on set pieces. Do you think that's something that Lampard's going to target against Sunderland?
Frank Tony Pulis Lampard, isn't it? We've got long throws. Just it's really weird to watch because we've got Jack Rodoni, who we'll come on to, who's a brilliant set piece taker. So all of our corners are excellent. Bobby Thomas is now back fit, which is massive. He played on the last day against Middlesbrough. Bit of a calf strain has kept him out for a while. He wins so many headers in both boxes. It's so important for us. Kitchen as well, massive header of the ball. And we just seem to cross the ball a lot. It seems to be Lampard's main tactic is get out to the wingers and cross the ball. It usually leads to goals one way or another. Rodoni late into the box, loves heading the ball in. We're big. We're a big team, and we can kind of compete. You've mentioned before, you've been to the CBS and seen Sims and Hadji Wright, who when they're at it, are 2 massive strikers and really fancy it.
Difficult to defend against.
Difficult to defend. Ellis Sims isn't.
Be diplomatic.
Finish the sentence.
Ellis Sims doesn't use his size as well as he should some of the time, but I think he.
Not what you were saying off air.
He can. he can on a night like this turn up. And I think another important point to make is that when we were in the playoffs 2 years ago, the Saturday home leg, we drew 0-0 against Middlesbrough, but it was a 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday. And even around the stadium, it didn't. We tried to get up for it, but we didn't quite get the atmosphere right. Whereas this is Friday night, 8 p.m, end of the week. It's already sold out. Obviously, it's going to be a massive attendance.
Yeah, I mean it's a prime time game, but you're talking about the height and stuff in your team, and all I'm thinking in my head as you say it is Luke O'Nien's under 6 foot tall. Oh no!
He'll do something really strange on the night.
But he's either going to end up like giving someone a kiss, or he's going to be like trying to take someone's boot off, crawling around in the box, or just something ridiculous. Because O'Nien, like he's an absolute Fruit Loop. That bloke. Yeah. I mean, I love him to bits, but he's mental. But you talk about how you like to get it down the wings and get balls in the box as well, and that worries me because I think that's been something we've struggled with massively this season. I think of Plymouth at home as a prime example that sticks out in my mind, where the last 10 minutes of that game we ended up dropping the points and ended up drawing the game because the last 10 minutes all they had to do was just loft the ball into the box. Nothing too exciting, nothing too, precise or anything, just getting the ball into the danger area and putting us under pressure. It's something we've really struggled with. So if that's something that you guys are looking to target, then, I think I could see a world where you get plenty of joy from that.
From a lineup point of view, you're probably lucky that Efrol Mason-Clark's still out injured, or certainly won't be starting the game. He's missed the last few weeks. So Hadji Wright scored a hat-trick against you, as you remember, at the CBS, but he was playing down the middle. He tore O'Nien apart. Unfortunately, we've had to move him to the left wing to accommodate Sims up front. which has kind of changed things a little bit and made it a bit more difficult. So ideally, in an ideal world, we'd have Mason Clark fit and Adjurant would be playing down the middle. It's not the case at the minute.
But what you're forgetting there is Ellis Sims used to play for Sunderland, so by law he's guaranteed to score. So I'll be putting my life savings on that on Friday night.
What I keeps just saying, he scored 1 home goal in 13 months.
Yeah.
So
again,
he's due one.
More guaranteed that it's definitely coming against us.
We sat here before Wembley going, he scored 4 league goals.
We've spoken about Cov's obviously key men. Obviously, the big one, the headliner in January is obviously Enzo Lefebvre.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not hit the heights of which everybody thought it would.
Yeah.
Sunderland's key players for these playoffs, it feels like Lefebvre has to really step up at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's been partly he's been a victim of circumstance where we've ended up having injuries, particularly on the left wing, which has meant that he's then had to be deployed out of position.
Imagine playing your best player out on left wing.
Yeah,
who would do that?
Yeah, maybe not the side to look to for sympathy on that one.
Only superstars can make that work.
But yeah, look, he's ended up shoved out to the left wing at times. He spent, a period of, I think it was maybe 6 or 8 weeks out with a hamstring injury, which obviously that disrupts your momentum and you're not necessarily match fit coming back and stuff. But hopefully, fingers crossed, like I say, we should have everybody fit. So that means we can play Lefebvre in his proper position in the middle of the pitch. Where
Will he do that?
I think you will. As long as Romain Mundle's fit enough to start on the left, then I think there's no chance we see Lefebvre anywhere but the middle of that midfield, because we want him on the ball, we want him dictating things, and when he's stuck out on the left, that's it's no good for anyone. Well, it's good for Frank Lampard and Coventry, but it's no good for us. Outside Lefebvre, though, I think a name that not too many people would think of, but Elijah Mayenda recently, he has been absolutely
He was amazing
fantastic
against us.
Yeah, I mean the goal he scored against Bristol City, we ended up losing the game, but that was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Is it better in a 4-4-2 than with him and Isidore up top?
Well, that was where we had the most joy with him, particularly. I mean, around the turn of the year when we played, you guys on New Year's Day at the Stadium of Light. I thought we played a 4-4-2 that day. We were excellent, and we ended up, taking the 3 points.
Yeah,
on that
that
occasion.
front two were outstanding. That they absolutely bullied and Ellen, Jack Robinson, just really, really dangerous, really exciting. And it did feel as though, like you say, it's almost as if from that point we really thought that Sunderland were going to kick on. So certainly it's something you've got to think that he'd be considering, because those two together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be considering it, but I think the biggest issue with that is just that we just sacrificed too much in the midfield, because then you're picking 2 out of Enzo Lefebvre, Dan Neil, Joe Bellingham and Chris Rigg, and look, I love all of them, they're all great footballers, and in a 3, brilliant, but when you're trying to pick a 2 out of those, I think you just sacrifice too much going back the other way in terms of covering ground and defensively. So I would be surprised if we lined up with a 4-4-2, but it would certainly get the best out of Mayenda and Isidore. And Isidore in particular, he's struggled recently. He's not imposing himself on games, and he's one of those strikers where if he doesn't get the service, you're just not going to see anything approaching the best of him. But
Some squad that though, isn't it? Like you just listing those names has
about
brought my
mad,
confidence level. It's
it's
a bit mad, isn't it?
If they're all on it, it's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing with them being such a young team, and obviously Joe Bellingham's still a teenager, Chris Rigg's still a teenager, and you can go through the team. That consistency just still isn't really there for most of them, and so on their day, like you say, they can be very top end of this league, if not bottom end Premier League quality, but it's just whether they're going to turn up and whether they're all going to turn up at the same time, which that's going to be the big challenge for us. I think Coventry are a much more consistent side, particularly under Frank Lampard. If I'm looking for positives, I'm thinking, well, the start of the season was so bad for Coventry that maybe that can come out again, but
home and away is 2 different teams, basically. That's the issue. So there's consistency in terms of home performances, but away from home we've not had much. I think it'll be really decided in midfield with, I think, our 3 midfielders, best midfielders, Matt Grimes, Ben Sheaf, Jack Rodoni, are all really, really top end.
That's a good 3 as well, that, isn't it?
And then you throw up Bellingham, Rigg, Lefebvre. It's like,
I think you'll need Sheaf in there to almost compete with Bellingham.
And he's struggled with injuries this season, but again, he's coming back to his full fitness. He was very good on Saturday. So yeah, that'll be where it's decided. If we can get on top of you at home, I fancy our chances. I worry about the away leg, but that's for another day.
You're almost more confident because you're home first.
Yes, I'd rather it was this way around, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think if we were away to Sunderland, and I don't know, with their form, you don't know how that's going to play into it. Are you going to turn up like the Sunderland we saw in October, you're going to turn up the Sunderland we've seen the last few weeks.
Well, this is why I'm happy that we're at home last, because I'm thinking
I was gonna say the same.
At this stage, like, we need that away leg first to hopefully put a performance in and get a bit of momentum, so that the home crowd aren't turning up just depressed after 5 games in a row of just constantly getting beat.
That positivity as well. If you go to the CBS and you get, say, a draw, or you're not too far behind,
all of a sudden
then get all that
totally
momentum back at
different,
home. Whereas if it was the other way around, you're coming into it on a low, you don't know quite what you're going to expect. You could have, I think, if Coventry were going to win at the Stadium of Light, it was going to be if they were playing there first. I do think probably both teams are perfectly suited by the way it goes. Coventry want to build a massive lead. Sunderland want to be able to say, actually, no, we are good. We can have these. Let's go and attack it. So yeah, this one I think is the much more interesting game, because just how this is going to play is quite exciting. I think it's going to be a really good watch.
Yeah, I think it's definitely probably the spicier of the two legs.
Just a little bit.
It's interesting with Lillibury now as well, isn't it? Because he's an unknown quantity when it comes to the playoffs as well. You've got Lampard, who we don't want to touch on.
Did a really good job in it last time, didn't he, actually?
We don't want to touch on Lampard too much in the playoffs.
Yeah, actually, I think he did a brilliant job. If I remember correctly.
Set myself up.
Weren't there a team that were like getting battered at one point, and his Derby team came back? Can't remember the details.
10 points. 10 points.
There's a song about Lampard crying or something. No, it's an important point you bring up, because Lampard does have that experience. It was only his first season in management. We've got to remember that. He got to a playoff final where, okay, he probably picked the wrong team. I think he might admit that himself now. But they lost narrowly to an Aston Villa side who, you know, Jack Grealish, Tammy Abraham. It's a superstar 11 in the Championship.
To be fair, that Derby team, he had half at Chelsea team just starting for him at one point.
But it is poor little Lampard, isn't it?
Yeah, bless him.
Got better. Right?
Oh, it's so bitter, isn't it?
Shout out to Derby fans.
That's a hangover coming out there.
Get him a coffee.
Well done,
We'll have to see, but I think Lampard's experience there, especially in the semi-final, playing away in the second leg, it's how we won. We tend to draw the first leg at home, win the second leg away. I think we'll need more than that this time around. I think we do need to win that first leg. The experience, I don't know how you feel about Lebris kind of not being in this situation before.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really strange one, actually, because his last season in France, he ended up getting relegated, but there was from Ligue 1, but there was a lot of extenuating circumstances
Are
there.
you half French? That was beautiful, wasn't it? Oh my word.
It's not his first time.
The way that you kept going then, because as soon as you went, I went.
I didn't get in 100 grand a student debt studying French. Not to whack it out on the podcast, lads. All right. But no. So I think, you know, his last season in France, he ended up relegated, which was a bit of a strange one. The club was selling assets and, you know, not replacing them in a bit of a strange situation. But the big criticism that he was receiving from a lot of the fans was that he would start the season like a house on fire and then tail off. Now, does that sound like it might match our season so far? Because I think it does. Très bien. No, so, you know, I think the worry from a Sunderland point of view with Lebris isn't so much like, can he handle the pressure or anything, you know, because I think he's used to, you know, being around, you know, top level football, you know, admittedly in a different country, but still, I think that the worry for us is, has he got it in him to turn it round quickly? Because he needs to, obviously. I mean, you know, the playoffs are a matter of days away, so it's not like he's got time on the training pitch or, you know, like a full pre-season to work with the players and instill his ideas. And so, yeah, for us, it's not, for me, it's less Lebris versus Lampard, it's Lebris versus himself. You know, I think he's got to get over whatever it is that's caused him in his career to struggle so badly at the end of seasons, and he's got to work that out and do something to put it right, because otherwise, you know, then we're going in on such a low kind of ebb at the moment that if we don't do something quickly, then we will be in trouble on Friday night.
Si, quick score predictions for both legs, mate. Start at the CBS.
We'll win the first leg 2-0 and lose the second leg 2-1.
I'll try to do the maths on it.
So we'll win the home leg and edge through after a defeat in the second leg.
Johnny?
I'm going to say 1-1 in the first leg and 1-0 to us in the second leg. But that's way more with that than it is with that, I'll be honest.
And lads, just for a bit of fun as well, what do you think will happen?
I think Coventry win. I think Coventry are going through. I think Coventry win. I don't mind Simon's shout, to be honest, 2-0 at home, then defeat at Stadium of Light. I think Sunderland will give it a really good go. But at the moment, I'm just looking at that form and it just... I think that there's so much there for Sunderland. And I think actually, you know, I reflected earlier in the season, I think of the teams around the table, Sunderland might be the best setup to go into the Premier League in terms of, they've got that young talent ready to step up, they're really athletic, they're physical, they've got the right profile of players to be able to actually attack in the Premier League and really see if they can give it a go. Whereas I think everybody else has probably got a lot of work to do to get themselves ready. But I just think the way the season's gone, the way that it's completely petered out, I can't see how you turn around so much sort of a drop in performance. So I'm going to back Coventry to do this.
So both me and you are backing a Sheffield United Coventry final. Who wins the final? Who wins the final?
Never mind.
Got ages. I'll go 2-0 Cov win in the first leg. 1-0 Sunderland win in the second leg. So Cov 3.
You can all come back. Well done.
I don't know what it is. Something about just the Frank Lampard factor, your squad, the momentum. There's just something about the hype around Coventry the last few months.
Kylie Minogue was commenting on the Instagram, which I think is an important factor. We haven't actually
Well, you've not had Natasha Bedingfield in the dressing room, though.
So who are you backing for the final? Who do you think's going up?
I think Coventry are winning the whole thing.
Yeah, I do.
I'll be honest, I actually think Coventry are going to win the whole thing. I just have to say, I think we'll get to the final.
Yeah.
Well, there is going to be, as well as we plugged at the start, a post live of all the games, all the playoff games, with Simon, with Gab, and with the fantastic Benjamin Bloom, of course. Right, we do have a final segment on the Untitled today, and we're going to. I see you smiling already. But we're going to choose a combined 11, lads, using only players from the playoff teams. And this team is going to compete, or if we sort of get to a final conclusive point, this team could win the championship. Okay, so the stipulations are as follows: you can only choose a maximum of 4 players per club and a manager, and then you make your case basically to me. And I will choose the final 11 and manager from your selections. So who would like to start?
Let's just put Michael Cooper in goal.
Michael Cooper.
Yeah. Okay. Si, do you want to start?
There's not. Do you want me to go through the 11 I've got?
Because we'll go player for player. So we'll start off with the goalkeeper. So we're definitely going Cooper. Yeah.
I think Cooper's the easiest one.
Cooper.
Nearly an 80%.
What formation are we playing, lads?
I think
4-2-3.
4-2-3-1. Yeah, I'm selfish, me. I've got 4-3-3, but I can muddle that around.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? I think that works.
We'll figure it out.
I think put Cooper in goal, and then right back. I know we've got. I think you three would probably pick the same one. I picked Milan Van Avag because I think he's the best right back in the league. I think he's absolutely 50-50. Class. But I know you guys probably picked him.
I was 50-50 all the way because I think he's very good.
Best right back in the league.
Have you seen how far he throws it? You watch on Friday night.
It's a good job we play rugby then.
Yeah, I was stuck. I was 50-50 between Van Nieuwijk and Trey Hume. I've given the edge to Trey Hume. I think he's had a fantastic season. I think he's been outstanding. And he gets the edge for me.
Yeah, I mean, just another word on Hume, by the way. His consistency at such a young age is absolutely ridiculous. He's been brilliant all season, particularly. I mean, even as we've struggled so much in the last few weeks, he's still been putting in some good performances. So I think he's in all day for me.
I'm going to side with Hume as well. Definitely. Sorry. It was just the comment about him being the best right back. Don't worry, Oli, I won't go on that. Let's centre backs. What we're going with them?
I'm shouting Rob Dickey and Bobby Thomas.
I've got Rob Dickey down as well.
I've gone Dickey and I don't know how you say it.
Yes. Those are my. I had 3 down.
We say Anel.
Yeah, it's easier. Anel, we'll go with that.
I had Anel, Dickey, and Bobby Thomas as well, but not as a back 3. Just thought we could pick 2 from them.
Yeah, well, I've gone for Ahmed Hodzic and Chris Mepham actually for Sunderland, partly out of ignorance because I'll be honest, I watch more of Sunderland than anyone else. But he's a Premier League centre back playing in the Championship, in my opinion.
I think there are 4 better United players than Anel. It's the only reason he's not in my team.
Should we put Rob Dickey in? Because
I think Rob Dickey.
I think he deserves to be in. I'm biased, obviously, but
yeah, I don't mind not being in.
And I actually, my second was a debate between Thomas and Mepham because I think 2 of them have really sort of standouts. I think, like I say, from United's perspective, Ahmed Hodzic is fantastic. I do think he is probably one of the best 2 centre-backs that we're currently sort of discussing around the table. But I'm also aware that, there's other positions that we need to consider and think about, and there's some other players for United that I'm going to kick off about.
So we need to decide between Big Bob and Mepham. Well, he's a goal threat, is our Bob.
He is.
That's why I like him.
That's his big Rob in the final say, right?
You decide.
Yeah. Don't bear in mind we have to stick to this 4-player limit as well.
Yeah. Well, so far I've got down for mine. I've got Cooper, Hume gets in. I've gone Dickey and Mepham.
Dicky and
I
Meckham.
completely agree with you.
We do have to have
Yeah.
a Coventry player in at some point. You know.
just wait till we get to the midfield.
I think the answer is we'll see.
What's Rob Dickey's season been like just overall anyway?
Do you know what's strange? He started until McNally got injured. Was nowhere near the heights he hit last year. Got player of the season. He was excellent. QPR fans were laughing at us when we signed him, and he was just a player reborn. Since McNally got injured and he shifted back into centre back, like proper centre back, he's just been excellent. It's almost like he's taken it as like, okay, I can be back being the main man again. He's just brilliant. It doesn't matter that he hasn't got he's got the lack of pace because his ball playing ability is just
top
amazing.
championship player.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Yeah.
All right, lads. Left back, Jonny, should we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, again, slightly out of ignorance, but I've gone with Dennis Serkin. I think I'm aware he's missed some of the season through injury, so you can maybe make an argument for some of the players on that basis. But I think when he's at his best, and particularly that first half of the season, I thought Serkin was far and away the best left back in the division. Now I know that obviously when we get to the second half of the season and overall,
You got Twitch there.
I know you. But anyway, that doesn't matter because actually you won the league in case you forgot. So you're not included in this. You won the league, mate. You can check, you can relax. It's fine.
This is a team that can beat Leeds, though, isn't it?
I don't think it is.
We're trying to.
I don't think it is.
I think you'd swap the keeper.
Not for Darlow, mate. What a player. Serkin.
Harrison Burrows.
Yeah, he's
Harrison Burrows for me. I thought it was 50-50 between the two.
100%,
I agree, Serkin, first half of the season, thought he was outstanding, thought he had a fantastic start, but I feel like, again, he's just tailed off, and I think if we were taking 20 games, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at 46 game season, the consistency, the availability, what Harrison Burrows has brought to Bramall Lane and brought to United, I think for me he's one of our standouts. I really didn't expect him to adapt to the league, only coming into it from League One this summer. I think he's been fantastic, and for me, don't worry, I won't say he's the best left back in the league, but I think he's the best left back around the table.
I was 50-50 Burrows and Pring.
Ooh, yeah, Pring.
I don't have I don't have a dog in this fight.
Whinging about not having a Coventry.
I had Burrows and Serkin, so either or I'd go Burrows probably. Because I wanted us to sign him and we didn't.
I really like Serkin, but we're going to have to give it to Burrows, I think. Yeah, I think we're going to have to give it to Burrows. I do really like Serkin, though. Midfield, lads, we're going to double pivots, I think. Sorry for your odd formation, but Pete, come to you first, mate.
I went Grimes and Knight.
Oh.
I don't mind
I'm
that.
fine. I'm fine leaving Jude out.
I put
Joke.
Knight in,
Mind you.
so
I've got Knight in.
we can all start there if you want.
Yeah, 100%. I've got Knight in. I think he's been outstanding. He's played every minute, hasn't he, so far this season.
Yeah.
What a player. I think I think he's 100% worthy of a shirt. So I've got him in. I've got him partnering Vinny Souza.
Yeah, so I've got Vinny Souza as well, and again, selfishly, I've put Joe Bellingham in there, but I'll be honest. I know he made Championship Team of the season and he won Young Player of the Year, but I couldn't really kick off too much if we're including somebody else over him. But I think I'd definitely argue for Vinny Souza. I think when he's on it, I think he is possibly the best defensive midfielder in the league, as in purely for the defensive side of his game. I think he's an absolute animal at winning the ball.
I had Vinny in as well, but the Grimes one's interesting because it's kind of where we're taking that from, because obviously we only signed him in January, but that coincides with us becoming one of the best teams in the league
Really
as a
player.
player. He kind of has come into that midfield. Him and Sheaf came back from injury.
Yeah.
If we didn't sign him, I wouldn't be sat around this table having this conversation now.
I couldn't believe you would sign him.
Actually,
to be honest.
I think just health then.
No, he's been that good. I did have Job and Vinny down as well alongside Knight. I didn't even have Matt Grimes written down, but you don't need to convince me if you want to throw him in.
I honestly couldn't believe you signed him. If I was a Swansea fan, I've been kicking and screaming.
Yeah,
bargain price as well. Yeah.
Well, it seemed like a sideways
team.
move at the time as well, didn't
Yeah.
it? Which felt very surprising.
Yeah.
I expected him, if he was going to go
up.
a little bit higher, but to be fair, in the end, I mean, you're all sat around this table with us having this conversation. So
I think we'll put Knight in.
100%.
I think Knight definitely gets
Agreed.
in. It's the other position, isn't it?
Souza, Bellingham or Grimes.
Souza, Bellingham or Grimes, and I haven't put a Coventry player in yet, so...
We've got some attacking places here.
They're coming up.
I'll go, I think Souza gets in. So we have Knight and Souza. Looking at my handwriting there, Johnny. Right, so then we go on the right of a three in behind the striker, of course. Pete, start with you, mate.
I went Roberts.
Okay.
on the right.
I didn't go Roberts. I went with
iffy
Rak-Sakyi. Yeah.
Again, iffy season again.
Yes, in iffy season. I went with him just because I think he's a player I've liked for a long time, to be honest. Even when he was at Palace in the academy, he was one of them where you'd heard of him and you were keeping half an eye on him. So I've gone him.
I think we're going to have a big debate here. I went Mayenda.
I can't believe there's been 2 Sunderland players mentioned and neither of them apply me.
And I've got the narrowest midfield you can ever imagine, and I put Chris Rigg on the right.
Wow. We just love the Sunderland players.
Chris Rigg on the right.
Wow. I'm vetoing that, by the way. You can't have Rigg.
I just wanted him in.
In that case, Chris Rigg on the right.
To be honest, out of the 2 off the right, I'd actually prefer Mayenda if we were picking a Sunderland option, just because I think Roberts flatters to deceive a lot of the time.
Your fans hate him, don't they?
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah. I mean, some of the lads in the Roker Report group chat really don't like Patrick Roberts. Whereas I think like Mayenda makes the most out of his ability, which is why I think I'd slightly prefer.
I think
And
Sakamoto's had a very good season on the right for Coventry, but he doesn't really do it away from home as much as you want him to. Physically, he can get bullied out of games, but at home, as we saw against Middlesbrough, as we'll see on Friday night against Sunderland, he will turn Dennis Serkin inside out.
And I think Rak-Sakyi's had a questionable season, really. He's been really good in games, in moments, but he's not had the consistency running throughout. I think as well, if my maths are correct, we've got 3 United players in and one of them's not Gus Harmer. So I think we probably don't put Jez Rak-Sakyi right now.
I think right wing and striker was by far the most difficult positions to pick.
They were the last ones I'd got left on my sheet.
Just need a name. Yeah, no, I was the same. Right wing was a nightmare.
Go on then, Conor, you sort it out.
I think I agree with Oli. I'm going to go Mayenda. I really like Mayenda. I'm not Rak-Sakyi. Flat to deceive this season, I think.
Yeah, it should have been better.
Yeah, we'll have Mayenda in there.
It's harsh.
Probably the most exciting position on the pitch, maybe. Central second midfield.
Jack
Radoni.
Yeah, Radoni. Yeah.
Finally.
That's it. Radoni's in.
That and goalkeeper one of the easiest.
Do you want to have a little chat about it?
Yeah, let's. Because we signed him and he was our best player in the first half of the season when we weren't very good. He was being played at left wing back at times, which was a bit mad and probably didn't help Robbins keep his job. Lampard's come in, and Lampard, it feels like his next Mason Mount. It feels like he's put his arm around him, he's told him how to get into the box. He absolutely loves him, his willingness to learn. Except he can take set pieces. He's really good in the air. His touch is unbelievable. I mean, we've had players like Hamer at the club in the last few years, and you've just been like, wow. Jack Radoni's on that level now.
Really? He's at that level?
Yeah.
Wow. Serious praise, we all agree.
It's to be our number 10 next year then.
I mean,
I don't think he'll drop down to the Championship, Ollie.
Yes. You can't argue with those numbers though, can you? I mean, it's just ridiculous to do that from the middle of midfield. It's like, at this level, I think he's easily one of the top 5 players.
He's only
in the
23
league.
as well, and we'll come to it maybe later on, but I cannot see a world in which we don't come under serious pressure to kind of keep hold of him for 15, 20 million this summer. He'll float into the Premier League easily.
Yeah.
I feel this one on the left as well is pretty obvious, isn't it?
A disgrace we're having to force him in there like Chris Wilder did. Play him in centre mid, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious choice, isn't it?
Neither do we.
Is that Wilder?
That is Siri immediately saying, I don't know why he's on the left wing either, guys. We've got to avoid that. But no, it's a really interesting one. I have no idea why he's playing on the left
Gus
wing.
Hamer, by the way, we should probably say who we've all picked.
Obviously, Championship Player of the Year. He's got to be in this team. I think, in terms of individual quality, I think he's the best player in the league. I know there'll be a debate about that.
No, not
I
for
imagine
me.
you've got a twitch. But Gus Harmer, for me, that individual quality, and he showed it all season long. Whenever we needed those big goals, big moments, he was fantastic at stepping up. In terms of our creativity, we've not been that good going forwards. We've had players like Rak-Sakyi who've had moments. We've had Brereton Diaz has had moments. The only consistent player to create constantly, whenever we've been good going forward, it's all been on the back of Gus Harmer. We've got 92 points. I'll probably give him like 50 of them.
15 mil if we're in the Prem, just have him back, yeah?
No.
Buyback clause.
He's only on loan.
I know. Okay, lads. Striker, it's looking like a pretty decent team so far. And this has to wrap it up, doesn't it? Finish it off.
This is the hardest one for me, I think.
Yeah, same.
I went Hadji Wright.
Hadji Wright.
Yeah, same. I think with Hadji Wright, you look at how many games he's played on the wing versus how many he's played through the middle, and so then you look at just the games he's played through the middle. He's got a hell of a goal scoring ratio in those games.
Yeah, he's about a goal every 2 games, I think, and I'm really, really unfortunate that he got injured in the spell between Robbins and Lampard coming in.
Yeah.
Lampard didn't have him for the first 3.5 months. We didn't have him. We managed to get results without him, but he's very hit and miss. But when he turns it on, in the first 5 minutes, if he beats his man against Sunderland at home, a hat trick, he absolutely destroyed you. And I just think I like Tyrese Campbell a lot. I think he's had a very good season. He was the other one I wrote down, but I just think Hadji Wright has a little bit more to his game.
I'd swap. Yeah. I love Tyrese Campbell. I think he's been fantastic. I think he's got everything in his sort of playbook to be able to step up to the Premier League as well. He's fast. He's got that physicality. He's built like a sprinter and he looks brilliant sort of as he's running in on goal, but his fitness is a little bit of a question mark. But as well, that sort of when you really need to kill games, there's been moments, particularly that run, Oxford, Millwall, Plymouth, Burnley away, that was where he's really started to struggle. He'd really not had the speed, the pace where he could sort of find those spaces in behind the defenders. So, yeah, I love him. I'd have him second, I think, of the players on the list. Maybe Isidore is one who's worth a mention.
Look, I mean, if he's...
We haven't mentioned Isidore.
But I think if he'd scored even a couple of goals over the last month or two, I think he'd have been...
Missed a couple of crucial penalties along the way as well, didn't he?
Don't remind us about that, man. I still hate James Trafford for that, by the way. Despise that lad. But if Isidore had scored even a couple more over the last couple of months, I think he'd have been comfortably top of this list. But
it speaks of the Championship, doesn't it? Where we're all in a conversation about a striker who maybe the best of the lot, who's scored 12 goals this season, 10, 12
There's
goals.
no one main man.
Leeds had Pirro, who obviously did a decent job in the end, but
he didn't get 20,
25 goals. It's a new
Bravo
Championship, isn't it?
got 18.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Didn't get it team of the year though.
I did Dan James. But yeah, interesting. Ty Campbell. I didn't even register Ty Campbell. But Campbell was so good for that period, wasn't he?
He was outstanding.
2-3 months, he was unplayable. I think his goals per 90 as well.
He was top
in the division.
Yeah, he was certainly top until the game against Oxford. He was top of the goals per 90 in the league. Obviously, he got 10 goals, which I think is his best individual season. He sort of seemingly resolved his fitness issues. Really dangerous. Yeah, really good player. He's definitely one to consider. But I'd do a quick count.
What of?
How many United players you've got in that team already?
1, 2. Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
So Ty Campbell's off.
Good.
Yeah, let's go with the majority decision, shall we? Isidore. Hadji Wright. So, lads, I'm going to read out the team to you, okay? Cooper in net, Try Hume, Dickey, Mepham, Burrows. Not bad back 5, is it? Knight and Souza in the midfield, Mayenda, Radoni, Hamer, Hadji Wright. Does that get to 100 points?
I don't even know if he gets promoted. How is that worse?
I'll be honest. Despite the fact that that's come from all playoff teams, I'm not sure that team gets top 6.
That can't be right. Say it again.
Looking at that back four, Hume, Dickey, Mepham, Burrows. That's an awful back four.
How have we ended up with that?
But who could coax them to potentially 100 points is a manager. So out of all 4, who are we going with manager?
Wow. Is it so? I'm going to ask a question. Are we going for who we think the best manager is at their base level, or which manager has the best season?
Which manager could get the best out of that team, I reckon?
That 10th place team.
I'm going.
Who's going to get him 7th and who's going to get him 14th?
There's only one man for the job in that case then, isn't it? The man to get a team from 12th to playoffs.
You look at
Liam Manning.
the squad that we've had this year compared to last year is not that different. And I get this, we've got a lower amount of points to sneak into the playoffs, but I don't think the other managers in this table would have got Bristol City in 6th.
I think that's a fair point.
I think that's a fair shout.
Yeah.
Just half a word for Lebreeze, mind. We finished 16th last year, and we've just finished comfortably 4th.
That was a scandal, though, weren't it, that you finished 16th last year? That was an absolute scandal.
I don't want to dwell on last year either. I have to put the case forward, but I do agree, man.
If you'd have won a few more of your last games in a couple of months and been a bit closer to the top 3, I think that he would be getting more praise than it is.
But and as well, I mean, you've picked a 4-2-3-1, so Lebreeze does a 4-3-3, so you can't have it anyway.
Yeah, so we'll end it there. I think that's a pretty decent team, and maybe with Manning, I think we'll all go for Manning, won't we?
Yeah,
we'll get Manning down as manager.
We'll squeeze our way out of it.
Lads, we're just going to take a little bit of a pivot as well. Breaking news: Tom Cleverley sacked by Watford. I believe it's 5 wins in 2025, but feels harsh. Feels really harsh.
I did look at the form table, and I think last 25 games they are bottom of the league, as you say. So it's kind of like, that is awful. If they hadn't had such a good start, they might have been in the relegation conversations. There were murmurings a few months ago that he might be on his way out. Ultimately, it's just Watford, don't it?
Yeah. Watford,
it's what they do.
By Watford standards, this is actually quite a lenient sacking, not a harsh one. They've given him loads of rope. But it was a matter of time, I think, because there was, I can't remember how long ago it was, but there was those rumours, wasn't there, about cleverly losing his job, and they were looking abroad. And I think once those noises start coming out from kind of semi-reputable outlets, you know that the manager's like not long for the job. It's never going to end.
The squad isn't that good for the Championship, though, so he's still done well to have a mid-table finish. I
don't think they know what they want. I think that's probably their issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
like the different routes they've gone down, but still sacked managers.
Yeah, and it has felt, hasn't it, like they've lurched from one extreme to another at times, and a lot of clubs do it in the Championship, but you'll have somebody come in who wants to play tight, compact football, and then the next manager wants to play open, expansive stuff, and you get some who love young players and some who want wingers or whatever. And Watford, for me, they very much lurch from kind of one to the other without any real rhyme or reason.
Fair play to them, though. They wanted to be in the playoff conversation, and here we are on our playoff show, so fair play to them.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's going to be a very enjoyable 10 days.
Have we all, sorry to jump in before you do your ending, have we all agreed that we think one team's going up round here? Have we all said that?
We have.
We'll go around the table quickly and just
don't think we have.
Say the playoff winners.
Coventry.
Oh, I can't disagree, can I? Up the Cov.
Look at that. Yeah, there we go. We'll finish it off. But guys, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. You can get this on Spotify as well. Make sure you do that. And for the third time, make sure you do tune in to Si, Gab, and the fantastic Benjamin Bloom for the post-playoff shows. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you in a bit.